So what's the biggest lie that's being told people about curses right now? Coming up right after this.
That's unexpected. I must say, you fight well.
Now put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Good afternoon, this is Lucky Lynx. When years and years ago, when I was taking workshops and I was first studying hypnosis and I was doing some trance channeling workshops and stuff like that, I ended up in a workshop with a couple of teachers who, no joke, they told us this. They said that if you find yourself in a situation where someone was cursing you, throwing dark magic at you, or there was some kind of dark force at work, crossing your fingers, crossing your toes, and crossing your legs and ankles would stop it. They literally told a whole bunch of people this, and this was not the only class they taught. They continually told people this was their method. Just cross your fingers and the curse can't get in, they said. If you haven't figured it out yet, this video is continuing the subject that I started talking about several videos back about, is there a magical war going on right now? Is there a magical war going on? Do you think if you found out that there was a magical war happening, it would explain what was going on in the world, it would explain what was going on in your life? So these folks actually told a whole group of people that if you were being cursed or some dark magic or some dark force was coming at you, crossing your fingers would stop it and you would be fine. They also told people that when trance channeling, if you asked a being that you were about to channel 3 times, if it was who the being says it was, they would have to say yes. If you haven't realized it yet, both of those things are absolute lies. They're not true. The reason that I'm doing this video is I saw something the other day that was endorsed by and advertised by The Secret, that whole secret thing, which, by the way, is channeled material, and I've said this before, it's channeled material, and with channeled material, it's tricky. You never quite know what to expect. But I do know this, that this material is new material. It is not ancient material. It is not material that has a proven lineage of success, and by that I mean that has the ability to actually produce enlightened beings who have magical abilities and who can actually understand how the world comes into being and be able to manipulate that world to do what it is that they want it to do, and again, to achieve enlightenment, which has a very specific meaning in the Tibetan Bon sense. In order to achieve enlightenment in the Tibetan Bon sense, one has to actually produce pure white light for an extended period of time. None of these new channeled materials actually produce anything like that, which is why I always go, okay, well, that's interesting that you say this, this, and this, but I want to know, how do you get past this moment? How do you manipulate phenomena? How do you deal with or explain how the material world comes into being? And can you demonstrate it? And can you give experiments to an individual to be able to actually act upon his space or her space and see results? And that's the thing, see results. And with that stuff, it's hit or miss at best. But this particular endorsement by The Secret said that if someone was cursing you, or there was dark magic coming your way, or negativity, or your enemies, if you send love and praise, if you praise your enemies and you love them, then the curse dissolves. That it has to dissolve, that you'll feel better, and then the dark magic will go away. And I will tell you that is one of the most irresponsible loads of BS that I have ever seen and or heard in my life. That is, excuse the graphic example that I'm about to use, but that's like telling someone that if they're getting raped, if they just lay back and praise the person who's raping them, then the rapist will have to stop. For some reason, these people seem to think that if you make yourself a victim, if you put yourself in a position where you appear to be a good person, then that's really all that matters, which tells me that there's not much depth behind this thing. Because those people that are telling you that you should put yourself in a harmful position and then praise or love the thing that's harming you, or if you find yourself in a harmful position where you praise and love them. And by the way, those two things go together. If you start praising and loving the people who are harming you, you're actually going to find and draw more of those kinds of people in your life. So I think that's also kind of because you actually will see yourself as a victim then, and you'll start to draw yourself into victim situations. So to tell people this has nothing to do with actually protecting people from dark forces or curses or things like that. It's more to make the people who are preaching it look like they're enlightened and look like they're good people, which goes back to the last video I was talking about in terms of this whole looking like a good person thing. I think this is really dangerous because you can find yourself in a situation where someone is slinging dark magic at you, or you are in a situation where someone's trying to take advantage of you or preying upon you, and you can continue to say, I'm going to praise and love them. And if you really believe that, well, good luck to you. You're going to learn a lot when you try to put that in action. The fact is, you don't need someone's permission necessarily in those cases to throw magic at you. You don't need someone's belief in your love power. They can continue to feed on you if they want. When you decide you're not going to be a victim and you actually learn how to defend yourself, well, that's a whole different subject. And in Tibetan Bond, one of the first things we learned was how there's a whole series of teachings on how to defend yourself in situations where people are throwing curses at you, they are throwing black magic at you, because it's so common. And it was common in the old world and is common today, which is why I brought this whole subject up. What if, behind the scenes, there are people who are actually working to curse people, who are actually working to enslave people, they're actually working to put people in unfortunate situations by magical means? And I don't mean in terms of witchcraft alone. I mean in terms of all of the religions that are out there right now. It's very easy for someone to stumble into situations where they can pray to or call upon something that might want to feed on a whole lot of people and use that as a food source, as I've said in the other videos about this. So this whole idea that you should praise people or love people who are throwing dark magic at you, who are cursing you, who are your enemies, it's based on this fallacy. There's an argument they're setting up, I think, that's a fallacy. Because in their eyes, there is a dualistic belief that being a good person who loves is good and hate is bad. So right there, they set up a dualistic situation, and you cannot achieve enlightenment while maintaining a dualistic approach. That's the first thing. And that I can tell you from my own experience. The more dualistic you are, the less success you have on a spiritual path. So when you tell people that loving is good and this other stuff is bad, you've set up a dualistic viewpoint. And their dualistic viewpoint is based on the assumption that in order for you to defend yourself, you either have to come from a place of hate or a place from anger. Now, someone can walk up to you and throw a punch at you, and you can very easily block it without being angry or without showing any hate or malice. If someone is throwing dark magic at you, there are processes that you could use to actually turn that curse around on them, and you don't have to be attached to it, you don't have to have hate, you don't have to be bitter, you don't have to bind yourself to anything. So I believe their entire argument is based on this dualistic belief that loving people is good and defending yourself is rooted in hate and is bad. Now, the reason I think this is because I don't believe the stuff that's based on this secret stuff and similar things. Like, I don't believe these are based in a place of actual goodness or looking to help people. I believe there's a dark thing behind them that actually wants to feed on people and put them in a position where they don't fight back. They don't know how to fight back. They praise the very beings that are feeding on them so that those beings can then gain more power. Any one of you who's ever found yourself in a situation where someone was either preying on you, taking advantage of you, you start to praise them, they're just going to gain more power. It's not going to stop them from preying on you. In some cases, you can make friends with a person, and that's great. That's a wonderful situation. As Sun Tzu said in The Art of War, if you never have to draw a weapon and you never actually have to take it to blows, well, then that's the best way to win a war. But let's be realistic and let's be practical. There are people for whom you can help, you can give them support, you can give them praise, and they will just use that to destroy you. And I know that you guys know what I'm talking about because a lot of you have actually started to put things in the comments that actually reflect that. You've had these experiences. And to put someone in a position where you tell them from your spiritual, from on the mountain that, well, they're just not as evolved as you because they don't deal in love, well, that's kind of cult talk. So you got to be careful with that stuff because you're actually trying to put people in a place of guilt and put people in a place where they feel like they're not worthy. So, well, the reason that you have enemies and the reason it's not working is because you're not loving enough. Well, that's not true. Some of you out there have had situations where you've loved and you've helped people and you've tried to make things better for them and they've turned on you and have fed on you and taken everything you had. And if you didn't stand up for yourself, they would have taken all of it. This reminds me of those people out there who they say that it's unethical to read a third party. So they'll say, well, if you read about someone and it's a third party and you don't have their consent, well, that's immoral and that's unethical. I used to see this stuff all the time when I was in academia. People who like to scream unethical are usually the people who are actually doing the stuff that they don't want you to see. So I look at it this way. When those people say, hey, it's unethical for you to read on a person who doesn't know that you're reading on them, that's because they're doing crap that they don't want you to see, and they're the ones who are reading on everyone and trying to take down everyone around them, because usually those are the ones that are really unethical. And those of us who really know what we're doing, we don't usually spend our time spying on other people because we got other things to do. But there are situations where it's very helpful to look into situation or look on something where someone you don't have their consent because they're doing things to you that you haven't given your consent for. So this whole idea of it's unethical to defend yourself, or it's unethical to claim your power, or you can only respond to curses with love, that's nice. The rest of you who are practical and who understand that there may be something going on in the world that's not quite right. There may be some dark forces that are actually feeding on people right now and trying to make something happen that's not so good. Know this. It does not make you a better person or a good person to allow people to feed on you. It does not make you a good person to give away your power. And giving love to a person who's trying to prey on you and praising them is only going to give them more power to take everything that you have. And for those people who spread that word, there is karmic retribution. When you tell people that when someone is preying on them, they should praise the person that's preying on them, you are making a karmic debt, because you are putting those people in danger and in harm's way. And when you tell people that they should make themselves victims to other people's curses, which is essentially what those people are doing, you will have to pay for that debt, because you are harming them as practically and as plainly as the people who are actually feeding on them. So, just a heads up. I'm Lucky Lynx, as always, wishing you success and good fortune in all that you do. Hey, if you guys would like to get a reading from me, 779-302-8009 or conjurehope@gmail.com. And if you would like to learn how to read the playing cards or how to read tarot, I have a basic tarot class, I have a advanced tarot class, I have a playing card reading class, I have one on how to read the Mexican Loteria, I have two on how to read Lenormand cards, one that's a basic Lenormand and one that's a Grand Tableau Lenormand. I also have one on how to read the Crystal Ball. If you would like to take any of these classes, they're all in a secret Facebook group. They are all go at your own pace, and the lectures are posted in there. And if you'd like to know more about any of those, contact me, 779-302-8009 or conjurehope@gmail.com. And hey, for those of you who have donated, I thank you very much. I'm very grateful for the donations. And if you like these videos and they're helping you and you would like to donate to help keep them coming, well, then I'm going to put my PayPal and my Venmo in the space below. Please subscribe and hit the little notification button so that you know when new videos are coming up, especially in relation to this topic. Put your impressions and your responses to this topic in the thing below. I'd like to continue this discussion and share it everywhere so that these folks can see and we can start to get a bigger effect on the world. Remember, you don't have to put yourself in danger You don't have to put yourself in a position where you're beneath anyone. And you don't have to be a victim and not defend yourself when someone throws dark forces at you, when someone curses you, or when someone throws black magic at you.